Hello guys and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be showcasing to you what I believe to be my ultimate last build for now on my marksman rogue. I want to take this build to the very end to level 100 and I want to take on Uber Lilith with this build. I'm having a lot of fun with it and I'm really enjoying it, and I feel like the synergy and everything on the build itself works. So with that being said, let's get right into it. The first thing we need to understand is that the focus on this build is on vulnerable damage. And a secondary focus is going to be critical strike damage and critical strike chance. So my modifiers that I'm looking for on my items, like for example here my rings, is to have that critical strike chance to the max, right? So I have 7.5 of both, and I could potentially in the future, if I get a better, like an 800 item power plus a ring, I could even push it even further. So both rings are focused on that critical strike damage and critical strike chance, as so is my gauntlet. So my gauntlet, this gauntlet is super good, and I'm having a very hard chance, so a very hard time trying to find a replacement for it, because I get 3 points on penetrating shot and 3 points on rapid fire, which is fantastic. So with that being said, let's go back into the abilities. I'm going to be using puncture and fundamental puncture because it keeps those enemies vulnerable, especially after the first engagement. You immediately make them vulnerable, and then if they lose that vulnerability, I use my basic attacks to get them vulnerable again. My specialization is going to be combo points, because that extra damage with the combo points is absolutely brutal, especially with my ancestral unique dagger here, that it gives me my core skill deals 32% increased damage when spending 3 combo points. So basically it just absolutely demolishes, especially my penetrating shot. It does so much damage when you have the 3 combo points plus this ancestral unique dagger is just so freaking good. That damage is fantastic. So moving on, we go to our core skills, which are going to be rapid fire, going for improved rapid fire to get that 15 energy per cast when damaging enemies who are vulnerable. That's why I said that I really don't need the basic, but I'm keeping it just because I'm using combo points and I'm liking the damage of combo points, especially when you're using it with penetrating shot. Penetrating shot, I'm going for the advanced penetrating shot that gives me that slow, and by making them slow, I also get that bonus damage for crowd control enemies. We're taking both the symphonic strikes and sturdy passive, but this time instead of having 3 points on symphonic strikes, we're only taking 2 points. And as I mentioned before, thanks to the item that I have, both my penetrating shot and my rapid fire are rank 7, which is very good. We also taking stutter step that gives us that 15% increased movement speed when we critically hit somebody. Also, before I continue, just know that all of this is going to be on the description below. There's going to be a link there where you can click and you can see the entire build. So yeah, you can jump over there if you want, or you can support my channel by just continue watching, and I can explain to you how the build works and how the synergies works and how I play it and the different options you can have. So moving on to our agility skills, here you got 2 options. One is Shadow Step or Dash. Now I'm taking Dash because I'm using my ultimate, which is Shadow Clone, that gives me a unstoppable for 5 seconds after casting Shadow Clone. I think it's very good. So I'm taking Dash because I don't need that unstoppable from Shadow Step, and I just like the mobility that Dash gives me, which is super good. So in a tricky situation when I'm getting CC'd and there's a lot of CC in the area and I have Shadow Clone up, which I rarely use, I only use it when very specific situations, then I get unstoppable and I just take my Shadow Clone and just do the extra damage. So when I see a lot of enemies and I see a lot of that CC, I wait to get CC, and as soon as I get CC, I just use the Shadow Clone and just completely exterminate the enemy. So it's very useful, and having the Shadow Clone also against boss fights is just super OP. I'm also taking Weapon Mastery, 3 points on Weapon Mastery, 2 points on Rock to get that 10% damage reduction against damage over time, like poison and stuff like that. And then moving on, we go into Subterfuge. Now here in Subterfuge, we're actually taking Dark Shroud, and we're going with Enhanced Dark Shroud, and we're getting that countering Dark Shroud that gives us that 8% critical strike chance. Now, you're going to be asking yourself, like, why are you taking that and you don't have it here on your abilities? Well, because it actually works with an item that I have right here. It's an aspect. Again, I'm going to leave the link in the description below. It's an aspect that when critical strikes with marksman skills have up to 54% chance to grant a free dark shroud. Now, if I hit an enemy enough with critical strike chance, I actually get a lot of shrouds. So let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. So right now, before we start the fight there real quick, I want you to look at my critical strike chance. It's on right now, it's 37.3%, right? So if I shoot and get my critical strike chance, you will see that it actually... Okay, so now we have the 4 dark shrouds, and like I asked you before, how much critical strike chance I had? Well, look at now, 45.3%. So it does work. So having the aspect give you the dark shrouds, and then having your abilities on the dark shroud passive, it does actually like activates the passive. So you don't need to have it here. So it works, and it gets me that 8%. And as you saw, having 45% critical strike chance, I think is massive. It's super, super, super good. So yeah, that's why I'm picking it. So moving on, we are also taking the exploit and the malice passives, 3 points on each. And on imbuement skills, we're taking the consuming shadows and the shadow crash passives, and we're also taking the precision imbuement passive to get that 9% increased critical strike chance. And we are taking shadow imbuement, and we're going for blended shadow imbuement that makes enemies vulnerable. We're taking shadow imbuement because it just works so well and does very good synergy when taking the victimize key passive, because it's just a bunch of explosions everywhere, and it's super satisfying to see it work. So here on our ultimate skills, we are taking the Shadow Clone ultimate, which is super good, especially on tricky situations and against a lot of enemies. I am loving it. And our last passive is going to be Adrenaline Rush, because I like to gain that 15% increase energy regeneration just in case. But I don't think that you really need it. You can put it somewhere else. I'm just being a little bit picky when it comes down to energy. Like I said, on key passive, we're taking that victimize that deals direct damage to vulnerable enemies, has up to 30% chance to cause an explosion, dealing 23% of the regional damage to them and surrounding enemies. Now, if you were to think how would that look, and then you shoot with your shadow imbuement, then that explosion over explosion is just beautiful. Now, on our Paragon, our main glyphs are going to be Ranger on the first glyph socket, and we're going to be taking Ranger to get that 4.5% increased damage with marksman skills, and we get that 10% reduction damage. Now here at the beginning, we have a lot of dexterity notes, so that's a lot of extra damage, right? You can see that 4.5% blah 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 blah. So it's just super good. Then our second board is gonna be, oh my god, I don't know how to check the second board, but the exploit weakness, sorry, I apologize. The exploit weakness board, we're taking it. We're taking the legendary, and on the glyph, we're also gonna be taking the combat, which is gonna give us that 7.5% increased critical strike damage, which is super good. And not only that, it also gives us for each intelligence that 7.5% critical strike damage with core skills, which is just increasing that damage as much as we can, because we have that huge critical strike chance. So also on the same board, we go up here and we get that other rare node that gives us 20% vulnerable damage, and it's just massive. Like, you can see how everything, all the synergy is just working together to do a lot of damage. Then on our last glyph here, we're taking exploit, which basically makes enemies vulnerable for 3 seconds as soon as you touch them, right? So it's super good. I am currently working, I'm still quite a few levels away from 100, so I'm sure I'm gonna be able to do it, but I want to take that other the finisher core skill damage, and I also want to get that cunning stratagem legendary node. This is how I have it so far. I like to just go as things go, so I will probably on the link on the description, I'm just gonna put it till here and maybe adding a little bit of points till there. I still haven't thought about the other glyphs or the other legendary nodes, but so far I'm just loving it, and as I level up I will probably update this. Now let's go for the character, character item. So on our helmet, we're taking the aspect which gives us a barrier that absorbs 3,493 damage for 10 seconds when damaging an elite. I think this is a very good survivability aspect, and it's a must-have, but that's just what I think. Then on our chest, we're taking that basic skills grant 20% damage reduction. So again, just more survivability. On our gauntlet, we have the rapid fire has 45% in chance to ricochet to another target, which is a must when you are using rapid fire. On our legs, we gain 0.50% increase armor for 4 seconds when you deal any form of damage, stacking all the way to 50%, which is again more survivability. On our legs, we're getting that critical strikes grant 15% movement speed per 1 second up to 6 seconds. So it just keeps me, it allows me to keep on kiting the enemy, and it's super freaking good to move around, especially when, you know, when you want to clear those dungeons super fast. And my favorite, which I'm still hoping to get a better bow or a crossbow where I can get a better aspect. Critical strikes with core skills increase your attack speed by 40%. This is massive, man. My rapid fire shoots incredibly fast thanks to this aspect. It's so cool to see my damage just go out super fast thanks to the attack speed increased. On our amulet, we're taking critical strikes with marksman skills have up to 54% chance to grant a free dark shroud, as I demonstrated earlier. And on our rings, we're having that our shadow clone also mimics the imbuements applied to your skills. Casting imbuement skills grant your active shadow clone 10% increased damage. Sadly, I haven't found a higher modifier version of it, but I hope I do. Like I said, I can already see how this would be even more powerful when I'm able to min-max the build. And I'm sure that when I'm level 100, I would have done it by then, and I am gonna be super excited to show it to you guys. On my other ring, making an enemy vulnerable has up to 50% chance to grant 3% increased critical strike chance for 3 seconds up to 9%. And I already have my critical strike chance at 45%, right? So now add 9% more. You see where I'm going. There's just no way I'm not critically hitting the enemies. It's just the damage is crazy. I'm sure that on the clips I've been showing so far, you can see that the build is just so freaking powerful. Now here on my left weapon, I have penetrating shot, damages enemies 2 additional arrows split off to either side. These side arrows deal 20% of the penetrating shot base damage. This is the trick shot aspect. It's a must-have aspect when using penetrating shot. You cannot use penetrating shot without this aspect. It's as simple as that. It's super important aspect to have. And in my right weapon, on my right hand weapon, I have that ancestral unique dagger, which I mentioned earlier, that allows makes it so my core skills damage increases by 32% when using my combo points, which is again super freaking good. Does fantastic synergy with penetrating shot and just completely wipes enemies. I'm pretty sure I showed a couple of clips here. I'm gonna be showing some clips here above me where I'm literally killing enemies. I think they're 10 or 11 levels above me, and I'm just melting through them without a single problem. So yeah, that's it. That's all there is for my current build, and I am really enjoying it, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and if you think you can improve the build, please let me know how on the comment section below. I would love to hear your thoughts, your criticism, your feedback, and anything that you have to say. Well, with that being said, Toto Torres signing out, and I will see you in the next one. Take care and have a wonderful day. Peace.